Let's Talk Oculus, a VR podcast, is proudly sponsored by the good folks at Patreon. If you want to support the show, join us on patreon.com/Let's Talk Oculus. What's up, Oculus nerds? Welcome back to Let's Talk Oculus, episode 171. I'm your host as always, I'm Dan, and I'm joined by my co-host as always, it is Samson, rocking his supernatural hoodie. Did you just work out before this show? Is that what happened?
No, I just put on this hoodie.
Okay, fair. That kind of like buy the gym membership.
Response. Just thought it looked nice.
When I pulled the laundry out of the hamper, out of the dryer rather, it was on the top.
And that was the one for today. You may have heard another British accent. It's definitely not mine. We are joined by a special guest. He is 1/3 of the CrossButtonVR podcast. He also has a YouTube channel called GameswithTea. Reece, welcome to the show. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Happy to be the second British on the show today. We got a fun show for everyone here. We're gonna kind of there's no real VR news to talk about, to be honest. You know, there's one little thing, but that's it. So we're just gonna have a more casual chat. We're gonna go into our VR history, our VR memories. We're going to go into like the state of VR in 2025 and tell you what we're looking forward to, what we're hoping for. And obviously we're going to go into a bunch of what we've been playing. You know, you've never heard from Reece before on this podcast. So he's going to go into a bunch of stuff that he has been playing, as well as obviously what me and Samson has done as well. So buckle up. It's going to be a fun episode, but a little bit of housekeeping real quick. The folks at VR Monkey, Raphael, who came on the show once before to talk about Skyclimb, who also do Galaxy Kart, which we'll talk about a little bit later on. They just wanted me to quickly announce that Skyclimb's multiplayer and level editor is now free from today onwards. And then if you want to go in and unlock the Worlds 2 to World 8, it will be $7 USD. So they're changing their model, and they're also doing a Chinese New Year cosmetic on their battle pass as well. So go check that out if you haven't already. Other housekeeping, joining us on the Discord, we've got the link in the description below. Our Patreon, if you love us so much, $1 or more will help keep the lights on. $5 or more, you'll get this a day early. And also you can comment at us. You know, we've had a lot of Spotify comments recently. We've had comments through the Discord. You can use YouTube. Obviously, you can put comments in there, or email us at letstalkoculus@gmail.com. But there has been one Spotify comment since the last episode, and it's from Jacob. Jacob says, "Hi, I have Walkabout and I want to get 1 or 2 DLC courses, no more. What do you suggest?" Now, before you guys go for this one, I've already replied to him because I didn't want him to wait like over a week. So I said to him, I said, you know, we did, I think podcast 146 was the one that we did the Walkabout bracket, where we went through every single Walkabout course and pinned them against each other. And Kyoto Valley and El Dorado were the finalists. So that's the 2 that I kind of suggested. But
Kyoto Valley is free though, no?
Is it free? I thought that was DLC too.
I think it's the last free one.
Okay, well, there you go. El Dorado was the other one. Fair enough. Samson, do you have any, like, if you could pick one?
Best DLC. Dan, this is a really tough call. I don't know.
If you pick one out of the ether that you would say just to suggest.
All right, hold on. I got to look at it.
It's easy.
I need.
It's easy. Wait. Reece says it's easy. Reece, what are you going for?
I got to look at the courses.
There's 2 that I have always stuck out to me, and the one that I say you need to buy is the Wallace and Gromit one. Like, for me,
that's another niche one.
Absolutely fantastic. It's nostalgia.
All right, Dan, I got it.
Go on.
You ready?
I'm waiting. Anytime today.
Suspense.
I really do like the Temple of Tazura.
Temple of Tazura. Okay.
I think the scale is beautiful. I love how it feels to go through it. I love the map room in particular. I think the sand can be tough to get used to, but I do really like that one.
It's a good one too because the fox hunt's really fun with the cat, and like the shining of the UV light and such. Like it's very
and then
unique in that aspect.
I get 2, right, Dan?
Sure. It took you so long to get the first one. I didn't know.
Yeah, because I couldn't. There was so many. It was overwhelming to think about all of them at once. Now I've got a list. The next one I would pick would be Ice Lair, just because I feel like you're gonna. I want a gimmicky one.
Fair enough. Nice. And then Reece, you said obviously
Labyrinth.
Labyrinth was your second.
Yeah. Again, I think my 2 are more because of they're nostalgic to things that I've watched in the past and things like that. So I think that's why they're quite impactful to me. But Labyrinth was one of the first maps I played as a whole group playing Walkabout mini golf, and I was walking around looking at the map more than I was playing the golf. So definitely that one.
Yeah, you're right, Samson. By the way, Coyote Valley was the last of the standard courses. So I guess my one choice would have been El Dorado, but I think it depends sometimes what you're into, right? Like, obviously you've gone, Reece, you've gone for like the IPs there. But it really depends what you're into. If you were ever a Myst player back in the day, obviously Myst is obviously the one probably to go for. If you're a big horror person, Widow's Walkabout is an excellent one to pick. So there's a wide range of ones that you can go for. But yeah, I think any of the ones that we've just suggested is the one. In fact, Samson, I'm going to change my answer because obviously I said Coyote Valley. I said Coyote Valley, so let me change that one.
This is the most chaotic segment ever.
It is the same. It's okay. We're starting the pod. El Dorado is one I said to him. Atlantis would be the one because Atlantis has got the most beautiful night mode in there. So I think that would be a good shout for that. But anyway, thanks, Jacob, for your comment. Okay, let's get into the crux of the pod here. Let's talk about the VR history that we all have. Obviously, me and Samson, we've talked about our VR history in the past, probably on episode 100 when we did that special 100 episode. But Reece, you're the guest on the show. Let's talk to you. We've not heard from you. What was your like VR history? Like, take us to the beginning of when you first picked up a VR headset. What was it? Tell me about that.
So, I mean, before I picked up a VR headset, I was perusing online and just coming across a lot of clips of, different YouTubers, more like just comedy content of VR stuff. And that really kind of made me go, this looks fun to play, but is it something that's going to be fun to actually, play for a long period of time? Because these just look like people doing silly stuff. I think a lot of the time that was Zero Caliber. It was just silly clips of that, and I was like, "This looks awesome! Like, you can do this. You can throw clips to each other. This is crazy."
What year is this?
We'll get to that. So we'll get to that. You'll know as soon as when I say what headset I picked up, you'll know roughly what year it is. But we'll just jump into that now. But anyway, I watched a lot of YouTube stuff, and then I was sitting there one day, and Resident Evil 7 came out, and I was refused to play it because I knew it had a VR mode, and I was like, I don't have a VR, but I'm going to hold out. And I eventually, I think it's probably about 6 months after the release of that, I decided to pick up the PSVR one. So I'm going to say it was roughly late 2017, early
2016, 2017.
Yeah, I think it might have been late 2017 or maybe a little bit earlier than that. And I bought it a week before Black Friday. And I still remember this because the week after it went down by like £150, and I was like, "Oh, that it stung!" But I pushed through, found enjoyment with this product, a lot of enjoyment actually. So the first game I jumped into was Resident Evil 7. Absolutely loved it, and I actually, to the point now when playing it outside of VR, it just doesn't feel good to me. I've tried recently on playing it on PC. I was like, yeah, it just doesn't feel the same, but. So I played that, and I remember hiding behind the sofa while getting chased by one of the Baker members. And I was literally hiding there, just like poking my head up every now and then, like, is he gone? And that was my first experience. Plus knocking over a bit of water, things like that. And your normal VR antics that you get when you first start playing VR for the first time. I mean, I even threw up like playing VR for the first time. Not like then. I decided to have a few beverages. Through. Yeah, I had a few beverages and completely disregarded the fact that was probably a bad idea. But I had a few beverages, played Resident Evil, and I was like, I don't feel too good. And then, yeah. Do not recommend that to anyone who plays VR for the first time.
I never thought about that, but you're right. Like, you could do that absolutely fine playing normal games, of course, but like with VR, it's probably not the best idea.
No, but my mindset was like, oh, I'm not getting motion sickness at all, so this would be absolutely fine. And I started off, I was like 2 ciders at most, I think it was, and I was like, literally just, I was completely out, absolutely out. I was like, what could have done that? And then I sat there, I was like, oh, I had those, but no. So yeah, anyone who starts VR, don't do that. It's a bad idea. Plus, I mean, PSVR 1 at the time, frame rates weren't the best of things. And, you know, I feel like maybe now if I was to have a few drinks and play VR, I'd be like, yeah, I think I have done since, but not this making me sound like a heavy drinker. I'm not. Like, maybe at like a Christmas period or something like that. No, it's one of those things where like, if you've got it in the fridge kind of thing. But yeah, that was one of my first experiences into VR. So it's a bit mixed. And I feel like PSVR 1 probably isn't the best jump into VR, but at the time it's kind of what there was. And yeah, I played that for quite a good few years, PSVR 1, and then played a lot of different games, which I'll jump into a bit more when we go to talk about some of our other games. But it stuck with me. I liked the impression that it left, but I never upgraded from that at all. I didn't bother getting a Meta Quest 2 when it came out. I literally picked up a PSVR 2, being the following on from the actual PSVR 1.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then now I've got the Quest 3. So yeah, it kind of like, I think it's after I saw less games come into the PSVR 1 that kind of had an impact. I think it's after like the release of Blood and Truth, I didn't really jump back in. Mm-hmm. But I enjoyed what I played, and I definitely think it was a good start into VR. But I also think if anyone was to pick up a PSVR 1 today, I'd be like, oh, you poor thing. Here, take this Quest 2 instead, or anything else kind of thing. Because light tracking, like because I played Pistol Whip on the PSVR 2 when it released, and I went back into trying it on PSVR 1 just to kind of see what the differences were. I think I turned it off in 30 minutes. I was like, how I lasted playing this for like 3 years with light tracking is beyond me. Like, I don't understand it. Like, so it's in the drawer now. It stays there as a history piece.
Yeah, in the drawer with its like 500 cables attached to it and such, right?
Well, so the headset's in a cupboard. All the other cables are in a drawer, along with a spare PSVR 2.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Like the PSVR 1 was so revolutionary at its time because it was like the first mainstream VR headset that a lot of people get hands on. Like the only other option was to obviously go full on PC and have that PC build. But for like the casual gamer or so, or just the console gamers, you didn't have anything like that. So to have that as your first experience, obviously you had the demo disc in a way that came with it as well, which had all the little tiny worlds, right? They had a bit of Blood and Truth, bit of the Shark Attack and such like that, which is actually a really cool intro. Did you ever try the kitchen demo? So the Resident Evil 7 demo?
I tried that after completing Resident Evil 7, which
fair.
is the odd way of doing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, just, even to this day, like I just want them to port Resident Evil 7 to PSVR 2. It's the one thing I want them to do, because I've played Resident Evil 8, I've played all these other ones, but I don't know, there's just something magical about your first VR game, you know? It's like, I'm sure people's other first VR games weren't that fleshed out and they played stuff that probably weren't as good, but I'm glad I jumped into that first.
Yeah. I'm kind of interject here with my own history because I feel like we've got very similar past here. Like, because my first experience was also PSVR 1. I've told this story when we were on the Between Realities podcast, actually, but I didn't really have much interest in the VR at that time. I was like, okay, it's, they're coming out with this. They also came out with the PlayStation 4 Pro, similar timing as well. And then for some reason, my dad, he's not a massive gamer, but he's like, as he's gotten older, he's playing less and less and less and less. And I even though he has a PlayStation 5, he just hardly touches it nowadays. But for some reason, he just went on like Amazon or whatever and just bought a PS4 Pro and a PSVR, like just in one big go. And I was like,
go for it.
I was in uni at the time.
You can, why not?
He just thought, why not? So I was at uni at the time, so I didn't really, care too much because, I wasn't really gaming much when I was at uni. And then, it just came home one day and it's just all there. It's like, okay. And that's when I put on the headset for the first time. And I think we did the Shark Attack first. And it was like, wow. When we went in, and even the start of the PSVR worlds where you put in like the disc and everything's behind you and around you, and it's just so cool.
So well done.
Yeah, and they did it at the time, and they did it really well. And I still think the PSVR 1 is an incredibly comfortable headset to wear.
Oh, yeah, I can touch on that in like quite an expressive way, but we'll go back when we start talking about PSVR 2, because I think that's something that can be really discussed about that headset.
Yeah, like it was really comfortable. You didn't really appreciate it as much at the time because you didn't really have anything else to compare it to. Obviously, you had the Move controllers, but this once again, like you didn't know any different at the time because you didn't know what was out there.
Yeah.
Like, the Move controllers obviously very problematic compared to what the controllers are like now, but at the time it was like it works. And just like you, Reece, Resident Evil 7 was the thing I fell in love with. Like I had played maybe 2-3 hours of that game at that point, and then I had the VR headset afterwards, and I just restarted the game, and I finished the whole game in VR because I loved it so much. There's a scene right at not right at the start, but like after you've completed like the maybe like intro, where you're sat at the dinner table and they're like feeding you like cockroaches and all that stuff, and that is a super cool scene when you first do it in VR because it feels like they're coming straight at your mouth and you flinch. It's just natural. But obviously you had to play that with a controller, which wasn't too much of a problem at the time, to be honest. Either.
Yeah, definitely not at the time.
No, so I'm with you because when I eventually got the PSVR 2 and was excited to go into Resident Evil 8, I didn't vibe with Resident Evil 8 as much as I did with 7. I think I just preferred 8 was more action heavy, I think, and I think I preferred the survival horror-esque of 7 much more. So I got close to finishing it, but I never actually finished the last area in Resident Evil 8. But I played that mostly in 2D, shall we say. But when I put it in the VR headset, I actually found it ridiculously scary because the PSVR 2's like OLED panels and such, and it made things so dark, and I just couldn't get used to it. Sometimes you play it enough, and then you get used to the scares in VR, and you get used to it. But I just couldn't do it for some reason. But yeah, that's kind of my history. And then I went into the Quest 2 because I moved from the UK to Canada, as most people know from this podcast. I had to sell everything, like I wouldn't bring my PlayStation VR or anything like that. So I sold all that stuff before I moved. And then I was looking at the Quest 1 for a while, but then rumors that Quest 2 were coming out later that year. So I just waited and then got the Quest 2, and there we are. But I feel like if I never moved out, I probably wouldn't have until the PSVR 2, just like you, Reece, to be honest.
Yeah, I got to be honest with you, I regret that decision now looking back at it, because I think if I had bought the Quest 2, having inside-out tracking and things like that, I think it would have really sparked that absolute love for VR that I have now, which at the time of PSVR 1, I was more of like a user of VR, like someone who just enjoyed it as a bit on the side, I suppose it was. Don't get me wrong, I got hooked to like Firewall majorly on... that was all I played on PSVR. So much so that that's actually how I met my partner, was through Firewall. Like we played it heavily. Yeah, we met in a random game, and just ever since then, just really hit off well, and eventually met.
Amazing.
Did you see they updated the new one?
We'll get to that later.
Why did you have to mention the new one? All right, it was going so well. God, you've ruined it now. We will talk about that because that's when we talk about the release of PSVR. But no, we played that so much so like my PSVR broke at one point, and I went out the next day and bought another PSVR just because I didn't want to stop playing that game. I was that hooked to it.
Yeah,
day in, day out. Come home from work, boom, straight on Firewall to like early hours in the morning. Eating dinner with the headset on, talking to friends. It was the most like surreal experience in a sense, because I suppose it felt like you were playing it longer because of the lobby times and things like that. But it's just that was
the aim controller as well, right?
What a great thing! Like PlayStation needed to make something like that just for the Sense controllers, but a little bit different to make it work like just as a separate controller for shooters. Like I would have loved it. It would have been such a good idea. But
yeah. Samson, what is your VR history? Where did it all begin?
I'm glad you asked.
Begin.
It's early for you.
It is.
I've been Samson. Where did it all begin? Well, it began visiting my college roommate who had I don't even know what the VR headset was, but it was some sort of helicopter demo. And I remember flying in this military helicopter. It's probably past NDA at this point. And it felt really like I was in this helicopter looking out the side on top of the city, and it was kind of crazy. So that was like probably 2017 or so. Flash forward Black Friday 2019, and there was some sort of Quest 1 deal with the Star Wars games, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, all right, Quest 1, here we go. Black Friday, I just did it. I had been, I don't know how, I just had the disposable income at the time, and boom.
Nice.
Yeah. And the Quest 1 was heavy. And I had like Beat Saber and these Vader Immortal games. And that's about it. And so I played pretty sparingly. And then lockdown. And I was like, I started to play a little bit more. And then Quest 2 dropped. And I was like, all right, now I'm getting this. And I really just fell in love with it. And that's when I started really playing a lot. And that's how I found Dan.
Yeah. How do we like from the what was it with the Quest 2 that was so like big and different compared to the Quest 1 that made you fall in love with it?
It was just way lighter. I could get in it longer.
Yeah. Was it that? I've never tried the Quest 1. Was it that much of a difference when it come with the heaviness, with the weight?
I felt so. I mean, the Quest 1, the stock head strap was pretty comfortable, but Quest 2 had so many accessories.
Yeah.
That you could just deck that thing out, and my Franken Quest was incredibly comfortable.
Yeah, you went. Did you use the HTC?
I did use that for a bit, but ultimately, I'm a fan of the Halo straps, so I ultimately went Halo strap with like the VR power battery on the back, so it had a lot of weight, so it was good counterbalance. Yeah, it was a comfortable device. I had the pleather facial interface. It was very comfortable, and yeah, I just fell in love with the Quest 2. And there were just more games. Like suddenly there was Walkabout, so I picked up a Quest 2 for a couple of my friends from home, and throughout COVID times, we were just able to play Walkabout, hang out, and that's sort of how it just sort of snowballed from there.
Nice. Let's kind of talk about our like early favorite games that we can try and remember. Obviously, Reece, you talked about Resident Evil 7 and obviously Firewall. When you like, was there any other games that really kind of struck a chord with you, or like games that you really loved for VR? Because obviously, especially with if you were playing the PSVR 1, a lot of those games have not come to PSVR 2 or any other platforms, to be honest. They're kind of locked there.
The ones I've played, fortunately, have. So if I mention them, people are going to be like, oh, I've played that too. So that's good. So, I mean, one that really struck a chord with me that I played a lot and still to this day will recommend it to people more so than its second part, Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. That right there, when that released, I think I picked it up on release and I jumped straight into it and I was like, you could do this in VR? Like, I haven't just got to be holding a gun in front of me, because obviously most of my part was playing. Obviously, I played some other games, but a lot of it, like, bear in mind, back on PSVR 1, not every game wanted you to be able to walk freely, like full locomotion. It was teleport or, all that kind of stuff. It wasn't really, because there was no way to kind of make it so you could do all that.
No joysticks, right?
Yeah, exactly. So you could do smooth rotation and things like that. But then they started to get into the point where a lot more games were trying to do that. And then Saints and Sinners came out, and I was like, this has full locomotion, smooth turn. I can move my hands to grab my weapon off of here. I can manage a backpack. I can do all this crazy stuff that just felt like how you would want something to be in a VR game, like you're actually doing it. And I mean, the whole tension thing as well with stabbing a walker in the head and all that kind of stuff was
felt good.
Absolutely mind-blowing at the time. And I was like, this is crazy. Like, I remember going into work the next day and just talking to my mate. I was like, I'm playing this Walking Dead game. And he's like, what's it like? I was like, dude, I'm going to stream it so you can watch it. And he came in and he was like, this looks insane. And he never picked up a VR after that. He never, didn't lock him in, but, he was like, this is crazy. This is awesome. So I think that's one that really struck a chord with me. I mean, other things on PSVR that are still locked there that I want, obviously, to come off and come to PSVR 2. Astrobot Rescue Mission. I mean, that was fantastic. I think we could all agree with that, anyone that's played it. Sure, if you have played the new Astrobot, and I am one of them people who has played the new Astrobot and would go, I think I preferred that more than Rescue Mission, but I did like Rescue Mission to the point where I'm like, okay, I still want to play that again. And like I said, clearer visuals and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Farpoint as well. Farpoint was fantastic. That needs to come across. And Blood and Truth.
Were you a big Fract fan? Because obviously that's
I never played it. I never played it on PSVR 1, which a lot of people were shocked when I said that. So as soon as it came to the Quest 3, I jumped on that so quick. And this was after playing Synapse. So obviously I jumped into that and I was like, okay, I love Fract. This is great.
Yeah.
Okay,
I haven't played it yet either. When I sold the PSVR 1, Fract came out much later after that, before I moved to Canada. But so I now had a chance. But yeah, I haven't jumped in yet.
You'll love it. It plays great and looks great on the Quest as well. So you're not missing out anything there. I feel like I would have, probably not appreciated the visuals as much on the PS4 version, just simply because I don't ever remember being absolutely mind blown. I always kind of remember there being like a bit of a grittiness to PSVR 1. That's from memory. I mean, I'm not really going to whack it on now and try it again because I'm too scared to. There's too many wires that get tangled up. So
Right.
And just try to set it all back up again. But no, their main studio games, I think they really need to work at bringing them across because I miss that.
Yeah. If they do, I mean, we can talk about that when we get to PSVR 2.
Yeah.
We'll get to that. Yeah, it's funny how
Stop it, Samson.
It's funny what you're saying because I was literally the game I was going to say was Saints and Sinners as well. That was
okay, so we're pretty much the same person. We're
in the same. I'll say a couple more in a moment, but like Saints and Sinners was the first one because I got the Quest 2 and that came out like at the same time as when the Quest 2 came out. I think that was the game that I just really like. I come out of gaming a little bit. I don't play as much at that point in time, and that was the one that kind of got me back in because almost every night I would want to jump into that world and because it was so immersive, and I would just stand in like the corner of my room and just play it for a few hours every night and kind of like get really into it, when you're like really immersed, when you're like really into it and you kind
almost
of
like you don't want somebody to walk in the room and see
you don't want
someone.
You don't want anyone recording you or anything because
to see the screen.
Awkward.
Yeah, you didn't want anyone to see the screen as well and just see exactly what you were doing and things like that. It was it's one of those ones.
I did create a YouTube video about it for like 10 minutes. It was like the third YouTube video that I posted actually. So I did do a little bit to show what it was like and just stabbing people. And the physics of it was so cool. It was so well done and it felt really good. And it still does. It still holds up to this day. That one and the second one in terms of how it feels. And it's actually something that I'm not sure if Behemoth kind of got perfectly as much as they did in Saints and Sinners, but that was obviously one, and you obviously spoke about length, so I just want to shout out two other ones real quick. I was really into horror at the time, so Lies Beneath was one that I really, really liked. I don't know if
that was scary.
I couldn't get on with it.
No, that's fair enough.
No.
I enjoyed that. It was kind of weird. I just really liked the art style. And I think also maybe I haven't played it since 3-4 years ago now, but when I played it when I came out with the Quest, I had a good time with that one. And as most people know on this podcast, Medal of Honor is still one of my favorite titles on there. When it came out on the PC, and I had like Samson, as you call like your Franken Quest out of Franken PC, where I had a Mac Mini and I got an eGPU and I put that together, and for some reason it ran VR like perfectly, and it ran Medal of Honor absolutely flawlessly on this. I can't remember what I had in terms of a graphics card, but it wasn't anything fancy. I think it was like a NVIDIA 1080 kind of equivalent, but it was the other brand. I don't know much about these PC stuff, What was it? Radeon. It was a Radeon RX 580. I've got it right here, actually. So I was running that through a Mac Mini, and it ran flawlessly. And I was a massive Medal of Honor fan back in the day when I was a kid playing on PS1, Xbox, and those kind of things. Yeah, so good. And sometimes even on the emulators, I still play a bit of this because it's so good. Anyway, so I once again, because I love the Medal of Honor brand, there's a lot of issues with it, don't get me wrong, but I could probably see past it because I was so biased and nostalgic for the brand that I just once again got really into it. I remember my bed was in front of me and I had a bit of space in front of the bed, and I would use it as like some shield, basically. Like I'd have it as like the bed is the sandbags, and I was behind it like crouching down, shooting, crouching down over and over again. And I'd do it in VR, I'd be behind something doing the same thing, and I'd just be so into it. And when that ported over to Quest, it was even better because I, at the time, got rid of all the PCVR setups, so then I could play it even more. And yeah, I still love that game to this day. Like I said, there's so many issues, and I think because of the launch was so bad for it, it didn't run for a lot of people. It was 200 gigs in terms of download on the PC. I think that really hurt it. And as we all know, when it comes to gaming, first impressions are everything. If you don't hit the ball running in the first few months, it's dead in water. Like even something like No Man's Sky, it's got a bit of a niche following now because of VR as well and the updates that they've done, but nothing to compare to the hype that it was when it was coming out and such. And because it just kind of shit the bed, that's just gaming when it comes to this. But yeah, that's the other one. I love Medal of Honor. Samson, what are some of your early games, if you can remember, that you were super into?
As mentioned, Walkabout was definitely Walkabout Golf Plus, which was not Golf Plus, it was Pro Putt at the time. Yeah. That was those two, and Beat Saber and Synth Riders was most of my VR time. And then some niche indie games that I would pick up, like Deasim, right? I don't know how to properly say it, that one, but I think that might be it. DEISIM. Yeah, you play as God, and the world just sort of builds up underneath you as
now
you
you've
throw
said it and explained it. I know what game you're on about.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think they one got a mixed reality update. I've been meaning to hop in.
Yes.
On the Quest 3. I used to have a good time with that. It's a decent one for if you got the kid. I've been wanting to put my girlfriend's daughter in that one too, because you can kind of pick up the people and look at them and then toss them off the world. It's a good time.
Talking about the characters in the game, not the kid, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Just wanted to confirm you connected them. You connected them two way too quickly for it to be you didn't revert back to the game. I was like, is he talking about picking up the kid and just frying them? I'm like, okay, right, this is
toss.
No, sometimes she does try to I'll put her in Grocket, or I put her in that Q's game where the ball is going through the making all the. Yeah, and she'll try to climb up on the bed and stuff. I'm like, whoa, you're not seeing properly. She'll just treat it like she's seeing completely well, see through the pass through. Your perspective's a little bit skewed. I assure you. Mm-hmm. Anyway, back to the original games. Yeah, it was a lot of just social VR, and then the rhythm games. That was a lot of my early game, because I'm not that into Dan. I think after 5 years of this, I think I've really realized I love the idea of a single player game much more than I like playing through at least a single player game. I do love being in the worlds for the time that I'm usually in these worlds, but I just don't have the inertia to see through the full stories most of the time. And I do still want to get back into Metro, but where I'm at in this labyrinth, it's so I just can't get myself in the mindset to want to be that's I guess that speaks to how immersive it really is, because I just don't want to go. I just don't want to go there. Right. I'm sorry. I don't want to visit right now. There will be a time. It's where I'm at. Yeah, I have no bullets left, so the spiders are just coming at me. I don't know how to get like I'm pulling them off. I don't know what to do. I'm trying to follow this voice through this pipe. I keep missing where it's going, and then I end up back where I started. I know you're. Oof. I'll get through it eventually, but I just haven't been able to spend the time. Like the last time, I only tried once, and I was like, yeah, I'm not trying that again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I must be forgetting some of the games that I used to play. You know,
I think that's acceptable.
Yeah, because it was so long ago. But what sticks with me is the multiplayer golfing games with my brother and my friends through that time. I must have gotten Thrill to Fight pretty early too, because I feel like I remember playing that one, throwing out my shoulders back then. Yeah. And then when I started to get more into it, like a year or two into it, when I wanted to dip my feet, I had a laptop like 1080, 1060 Ti, something like this. And I could run basic VR, and then I tried Shadow PC, and that kind of worked decent. And so I was dipping my toes into that. Then I started to get into like the VR chat and just like hanging out and socializing. And yeah, that's about it, Dan.
Nice. Reece, did you ever get into PCVR at all, or you?
I have. I got into PCVR quite late though. Like I jumped into PCVR last year.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'd say probably a few months into the year, and I've enjoyed it. I do like it, but I'd still opt to play a game. Like if I could choose, like if I have a game on the PC or Quest, I'd probably still opt to play it on the Quest over PC. And it's the same if I had it on PSVR 2 or PC, I'd still opt for it on PSVR 2.
Is it just a friction reason? Just like
it's simply because like I've got a PC that's capable to play it all. That's not the issue or anything like that. It's just sometimes with PC, I always find that you can do one thing, you can play it all, and it'd be absolutely fine. And then for some random reason, you'll press a button, and then that's it. Your PC be like, oh no, what have you done? Don't like that. And then all of a sudden, just everything starts going wrong. And I've always find like with certain games, unless they're perfectly optimized, that can happen on PC quite a bit. I do like PCVR though. I have enjoyed what I've played on there. It's just I think as I've got older, convenience is something I really appreciate. And just being able to quickly get up, whack on the Quest headset and play within like the minute it's now on my head. Amazing. And it's the same feeling with the PSVR 2. Obviously, there's a little bit more process there of pressing a couple more buttons, but it's still, I also don't like leaving my cable plugged in on the PC. I've just moved it around, and I've got a huge link cable draping across the floor, and I don't want that either. So, it's a mixture of stuff, but I do like PC. I think PC VR is adequate and probably still one of the best ways to play some VR games.
Have you ticked the boxes? Have you ticked like Half-Life Alyx?
Oh yeah. That was like the first one. That blew my mind. Like I will say, like so when I'll be brief on it. Like, when I picked up the PC and I played Half-Life Alyx, and a couple of other PC games, and I went on and we started discussing it on CrossButton. I was like, this is crazy. Like it's like for me, like I literally just seeing them graphics of Half-Life Alyx, which came out multiple years ago, compared to graphics of games that have just came out 2 weeks ago. I was like, what? Where did something go wrong?
Yeah.
Like something's went wrong here. And obviously I know budgeting constraints and all that kind of stuff is probably what went wrong, but it was that kind of mind-blowing experience. And I get that from a lot of PC games. I still jump on my PC to play Hard Bullet every now and then just because I do enjoy the sandbox crazy style that it has, but there's great stuff on PC. It's just if you don't mind tweaking with a lot of options here and there. So.
Yeah, that's very fair. Well, and obviously, it's a Quest centric podcast, but let's talk about the PSVR 2 for a little bit, because obviously, you come from the CrossButtonVR podcast. You probably play the PSVR 2 quite a lot,
Yeah.
So let's talk about it. And I know I don't have a PSVR 2 anymore, but I have had, obviously I had it for some period. Samson, you've got one now as well. So, we've all had experience with it. But Reece, before we talk about the launch and how it's currently doing and what you wish that it had and all that stuff. Let's start positive. What are the stuff that you really like about it? Or like some of the like games that you really like on it?
You've brought in the wrong person. You should have got Laurie on. No, I'm joking. I'm one of them people that's positive about the PSVR 2, but only when it's deserved. For me, love haptic feedbacks. I love the adaptive triggers. I love playing shooters on PSVR 2. Like if I have a choice to play a shooter on Quest or PC or PSVR 2, and they're all on all for it, it will be the PSVR 2, just simply because of adaptive triggers. Mm-hmm. When that's all implemented, great. The PSVR 2 really shines. Obviously, I love the OLED, the clear visuals and things like that. Great. And again, it's one of the things where I have tried it on PC and went back to the PSVR 2. And the way I've kind of worded it to people is when they've asked if should I use a PSVR 2 on PC. If you've used it on PS5 already, then don't, because it's almost like using a hollow headset. It's the way I've worded. Yeah, it looks great, it plays great, but without all that stuff that makes this PSVR 2 so special, it's just like playing on a hollow headset. And then there's obviously the more money you've got to pay to kind of get it working. But for me, I think they really smashed it out of the park with this design of this headset, the way it works, the functionality, the look of it. I mean, at first, when I first saw it, I was like, that's pretty bulky. But now I'm looking at it in the corner of my eye. It's like it's a lovely headset. So I think just in terms of the way it works, functions, it's pretty much a flawless headset. I say flawless, that's pretty high, but there's a few things I'd probably we'll come back to that again when I go to the negatives. But I think just genuinely for an experience, PSVR 2 for me reignited my love for VR. Like obviously coming from the PSVR 1, it started to dwindle. I didn't even know I was going to get the PSVR 2 at one point. And then when the pre-orders went up, I was like, yeah, okay, I'm going to get it. And it reignited my love. It sparked that passion that I had for VR before when I first started playing it. It's to the point where I don't play anything pretty much other than VR these days now. And I genuinely think if I didn't get the PSVR 2, that wouldn't be the case. I wouldn't be sitting here. I wouldn't be like I wouldn't be doing podcasts or YouTube channels because I wouldn't be playing VR. I'd probably just be still playing non-VR gaming and talking about that. But I think it's once you've played the PSVR 2, that's when you really notice its magic.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a headset that probably gets a bad rap on the media just because it's always fun to just laugh at it, and it's like it's there are lots of issues with it, obviously, and we can get into that in a moment. But like it's still a solid headset. I think when I got it, and the reason why I kind of sold it off, I think I was just a bit spoiled with VR because of obviously doing this podcast. We play a lot of VR. I had the Quest 2 with the Quest 3. Actually, we have the Quest 3 at the time. I can't remember.
It would have been the Quest 2. If it was
Quest 2,
when did you sell it? If you sold it in October of the year,
I think it was the Quest 2. I think I had the Quest 2. I got it day one. Yeah, as soon as I was so hyped about it because I loved the PSVR 1. So
but there's even the release window. Like we should have known at that point there that things were just going wrong. Like that. Did you order the?
I got the Horizon one. Yeah.
Did you have the issue where it wouldn't do the tracking and things like that? So nobody knew where their PSVR 2 was. Like I don't know if it was just a UK issue, but in the UK, it wouldn't tell you it's dispatched. So my partner obviously ordered a PSVR 2 as well, and I just want to put it out there. She ordered a PlayStation VR 2 because she wanted to play Firewall Ultra. Hence why I said to you, Samson, thanks for that. We'll jump on that, and I'll tell you what happened to her PSVR 2 and things like that. But that was like, so we both pre-ordered. She got the standard one, I got the Horizon one. Her said dispatch. Mine was like ordered. I'm like, where's my product? Where is it? You actually had to go through a loophole on the website, change the code so you could find out if it was dispatched. It was like, what's going on here? It's such a weird thing. So I was thrilled when they turned up at the door.
Yeah, we didn't have that issue. I don't think we had that issue here, but I think we'll get into issues in like actual with the headset and the games in a moment. But I think my problem was just I think I was just spoiled with VR because I had the Quest 2 and then the Quest 3 was coming.
The wire.
The wire actually the wire.
I don't like being tethered.
Did not mind the wire. The wire was so long, and also at the time where I was living, the living room was actually quite large. So I I'd always face away from the actual TV screen, so then like the wire's just behind me and such. And I never found the wire an issue. When I played Walkabout on it, I realized that actually I prefer this on Quest. Yeah, like in the reprojection had issues, but we'll get into issues.
We said we're going to wait for issues.
Wait for issues. Wait, let's talk about positives.
But there is positives to this headset. There is.
The haptics were amazing. The graphics on the games, obviously coming through a PS5, were really cool. Playing Horizon was fantastic. Like I've not played the second Horizon game, but I really liked the first one. And going into that world and seeing like this, it's when you do like when you see the scale of I guess the robot dinosaurs, shall we say? It's I don't know how to describe, but like
I can't remember all their names either, so you're perfectly fine with that one, yeah.
But the scale was phenomenal, and it looks so sharp. And seeing Aloy, the main character, right in front of you, realizing how small she is compared to me as well, was really impressive. So yeah, it was really fun when I first got it. Everything was big. The headset was massive. Like it was bulky, but it was big. Obviously the lenses are a little bit different. The controllers were huge too in terms of what they were. They were cool because they were completely different design, but everything was big. So it was all very different to the Quest, but yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, I didn't have that comparison. Like, couldn't compare the PSVR2 to the Quest. So this was like my first foray into inside-out tracking. So obviously experiencing that and like being able to, see how it all works, and that was awesome. But yeah, now I've got the Quest 3, and I go back to the Quest 2. I'm like, this is a beastie thing. Like the controllers are just unnecessarily huge in some regards. That they feel great and they feel premium. But when you play like shooters on it and stuff, and you hit them together and all that kind of stuff, so yeah, it is quite big. And I would agree with you in this when you said, you were spoiled for choice. Obviously, having the Quest 2 and then being able to, having them differences between, you just got too much to play in a sense. I never experienced that when I got the Quest 3. I was like, I'm playing my Quest 3 and I've touched my PSVR 2 maybe once this week for an hour. And that was literally what it was like. It was so much. Obviously, I missed all the stuff from Quest 2. So, yeah, I could only just imagine how it was for you, just like having those two to balance, especially with doing a podcast. Because at that point in time, I wasn't streaming the PSVR 2. Right. About a month, maybe the month it came out, I started streaming PSVR 2 again. That's when I thought, okay, because I was already doing Twitch stuff before that, and then I jumped back into doing streams again because of the PSVR 2. And yeah, I think I can completely agree with just that spoiled for choice situation when you have a Quest.
It's also
crazy.
It's also your own situation as well. Like it might have been different now because I just lived with my partner, but back then when I had the PSVR 2, I had 2 other roommates. And then my PSVR, my PlayStation actually
was in your living room, right?
The living room, and
that'd ruin it.
I could have brought it into the bedroom where I had my desk set up and such, but me and one of my roommates would play the PlayStation quite often, so I didn't want to move that away because of that. So like I wanted to keep it in the living room, but because of that, then I didn't want to always hog the TV just playing VR all the time, or like them always walking around being like, "What? Look at this clown! Like, what is he doing? Like stabbing."
What an idiot.
Zombies and such. At least I could see the screen, so they could see exactly what I was doing. But yeah, I think it's also that I think if I got it now, I don't think it would be such an issue. But yeah, the thing is, we're in a very privileged situation where I have multiple VR headsets, so there's only so much time you could put towards one of them, right? So it is what it is. Samson, what are the stuff that you really like about the PlayStation?
Well,
none of it.
It's got some great exclusives, Dan, and I've got this wheel now. And even the I prefer the wheel for Galaxy Kart than I do for Gran Turismo, oddly enough. But the OLED screen, it just looks good. I love the haptics. Like it just makes certain games better, right? Is it necessarily like each headset has its pros and cons, like we've been talking about. So a game like Tetris Effect, way better on PlayStation VR 2 because you just get into it, and when you feel it on your face and it goes to the music, what an incredible experience.
Haptics are fantastic.
So yeah,
I think that's
like
a selling
that.
point.
The The reprojection stuff doesn't really bother me like you saw in the Walkabout. Like, I don't mind playing Walkabout on my PlayStation VR. In fact, I feel like the haptic in the controller is a bit stronger, and it kind of feels good when you putt and Walkabout on your PlayStation VR too.
Yeah.
What else? It's got the eye tracking. I don't feel like that's really taken advantage of a lot because. In part because if Quest 3, if and when Quest 4 gets eye tracking, then I feel like developers will start implementing eye tracking into their games, right? I'm not sure. In fact, I'm pretty sure the PlayStation VR 2 community isn't quite large enough for game like Synapses out there, yes, but how well that clearly didn't do well enough for Synapse 2, right? So I just feel like it's a secondary thought for most developers. Far as, unless it's being used for like the DFR or whatever, I feel like that's becoming more of a thing.
Yeah, definitely.
But not necessarily as like a game feature.
There's one that comes to mind that used it recently that ported over from Quest was Mare. I don't know if you all played Mare.
No.
But that's when that came over to PSVR 2, they actually got 2 modes, and one of them is to play the game entirely with eye tracking because it's not really something you move your hands, so you're literally guiding it all with your eyes. And again, another one before your eyes. Is it before your eyes?
Before your eyes, yeah.
Yeah,
and then
that was a good one to do, but
What's
I kept messing it up.
Yeah, me too. I blinked so many times, I missed all the scenes, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
I was like, oh, finish the
Don't know what's
game.
happening.
Res. That's the other one.
What one?
Was it Res?
Yeah.
Never played it.
Use your eyes.
Eye tracking, the thing is like
Firewall Ultra uses it as well.
It does, yeah. Firewall Ultra does it, and obviously like Horizon, for example, it uses it for the menus, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
I don't think it needs to be as like an actual proper game feature too much. Like it doesn't have to be baked in there. I think the way
I do like the menus in Horizon.
The menus are cool. I love that aspect. But I think the main point of having eye tracking is so they can have proper foveated rendering, right? Where
exactly.
Where they're looking is going to be what you're rendering, so you get the most power. And that's going to be the thing that's going to be on the Quest 4. And it's hopefully going to be used quite a lot so they can boost the performance. But Reece, you just said Firewall Ultra. Let's talk about the bad.
Okay,
for PlayStation.
All right.
Go on. The floor is yours.
I lost a lot of love for PlayStation when this happened. Just not so much because, like I said earlier, I met my partner in Firewall, the 0 Hour. So we're now living together at this point when the PSVR 2 is about to come out. So we're both really excited. We saw the trailer for Firewall Ultra, so we're now hyped. We was both already going to get the PSVR 2, but this was like the selling point for us. Because like I said, at that point, I wasn't planning on doing content again. I mean, I streamed every now and then, but this was like, this is our game kind of thing. This is like going forward. We was like really excited. We could stay up late playing it every night, play it with all our friends again, and just get the band back together type of thing.
Was it 4-on-4 or what was?
Yeah, 4-on-4.
Okay.
So we had a group we played 0 Hour with quite a lot. And I still talk to them to this day. Even like now we're not playing it anymore, we still talk. But so we was really excited for Ultra. We both put our pre-order in, and she was like, I'm going to get the deluxe edition of Firewall Ultra. And I was like, yeah, go on then. It's Firewall. It's gonna be amazing. Let's do this. We both get it on release day. So she's at this point. I'm got my own room that I'm in now, and she's like playing it downstairs in the room, and we're both like in the lobby. Like, this looks really cool. It's really good. We're sitting there waiting for it. And we're waiting for this lobby to start and put us into a game. And we go into a game, and we're like, it doesn't feel the same. It always started here. Go like, I've spent £50 for like the exact same maps. I was like, yeah, but that door's different. The window wasn't there before. This is now a nighttime map. And she's like, yeah, we'll crack on a little bit more. So we play it for a little bit more. And then we couldn't find her deluxe edition items. And I was like, you could get to this level, which the XP at that point was ridiculous now. Obviously, with the update, that helps people that want to jump into it, but I still wouldn't recommend it because people that are playing it are sweaty. So I'd never heard her be so deflated about a purchase before in her life. It was soul crushing to hear. Like, we had so much excitement to play this game. And now when everyone mentions it, it's like a running joke at this point because it ruined a lot of respect I had going for that headset. This was a selling point to people. It really was. yeah, we were just both incredibly deflated. We turned it off. I tried to play it again another day and then couldn't get into a lobby, and it was the same thing as the original firewall. And we was like, this is meant to have dedicated servers now. This is all meant to be fixed. Everything that they've said that was wrong with Firewall 0 Hour is meant to be improved upon. It was not. None of it was. It was, if anything, it was worse. The only thing that looked good was the way it looked. And I mean, not having the aim controller as well, I suppose we kind of missed that as well. We didn't we get used to it. Yeah, I think that was the selling point for that type of game at that point. And I think the problem with Firewall, and I word it this way now to a lot of people, is that when Firewall 0 Hour came out, nothing was like that. You didn't have breaches. You didn't have, Pavlov.
It was unique.
Yeah, by the time Ultra came to PSVR 2, you had Pavlov already on the system. You had Crossfire Sierra Squad. I think it was either about to come out or it just came out. So you had these other shooters that were already showing you that what a shooter should be like in VR. Then Firewall Ultra came out. It's like, press X to open a door, press square to reload your gun, hold L2 to look down your scope. It's like, what? I don't want to focus my aim by looking. Let me focus my aim myself. This is VR. And it felt fine back in the day with an aim controller, but not now. Like it's this, I've played these other experiences, and then they just fumbled it so much. And yeah, so at that point, she turned around and said to me, I think I'm going to sell my PSVR 2.
Wow.
After one game. After what she played other games, bear in mind. She played Kayak Mirage, and it looks amazing. She played a couple others. And I will touch on this because this is a whole negative of the headset for her. And I think it's quite interesting of how it was like the downfall of this headset. But she was excited for Ghostbusters as well. Yeah. So we picked that up, and again she's like, oh it's gonna be great. I'm gonna pay £10 extra because it's a Deluxe edition. I really wish she didn't do that. But and although now I've played Ghostbusters more, I would say it's I was still gonna say
I feel like I've had people play that more recently and enjoy their time.
Yeah, it's fun as a group, and now it's been out for a bit longer, it has more to it. But we was literally playing it was like, is this it? Is there more to this? There's gonna be more to this, right? And there wasn't. And so then that was the second like big hype that she had for this headset, and then after that she's like, I'm gonna sell this thing. So I was like, okay, well, she looked online to sell it, and I think CEX were going to give her £200 for a headset she just bought for 550 quid. And I was like, hell no, are you doing that? Like, I'll buy it off you. I'll take it off your hands. I'll just have a spare one. In case you want to play it again, then we've got a headset here for you to play. So that was what ended up happening. She sold the PSVR 2, and I thought I was going to lose her from VR forever, which was quite upsetting because it was such a big thing for us. Yeah. Until one day I let her play Max Mustard on the Quest 3, and instantly she played it. And I think within 5 minutes of her coming out of the headset, I went upstairs, put the headset back upstairs, and she came it down. She was like, I've just ordered a Quest. It's coming tomorrow. And I was like, well, that was quick decision making.
Max Mustard.
Yeah, exactly. It was for her, but I think another thing, like the main issue for the PS2 for her was it wasn't comfortable. She found it very uncomfortable. Like you said, the PSVR 1 was incredibly comfortable. It was lightweight. It felt lightweight. This felt heavy. It felt bulky. It slipped. You lost the sweet spot. Yeah. And that was the whole issue for her. And I eventually got the globular cluster. She tried it again with that on it, and she agreed that made it better. But she also then agreed that straight out of the box, even with the strap that's on the Quest, that she preferred that. She eventually got the Elite strap. Yeah, exactly. But she ordered the Elite strap because she could, it's front heavy on the Quest. With the normal strap, it just wasn't.
It's just like for us. Pushes so far.
I mean, she was like, she preferred it, but I don't think she was like, this is gonna be something I can play for a long period of time with the cut. She ordered the I think it's the Kiwi Elite strap or whatever Elite strap she bought at the time. I'm pretty sure it's the Kiwi. And she literally whacked it on. She's like, this is snug.
It makes a big difference.
This is amazing. Like, and I think that was another thing to us. Like, she didn't have to, completely dismantle her headset to just put on a strap to make it comfortable. She can change the interface, and there was that. And I think that really, really sold her. So I got her back into VR, and nice. I got her back, and we couldn't let her leave VR for too long. I was like, I need you back in. So it's.
I don't know. I don't mind the head strap on the PlayStation VR 2, but I'm a Halo strap guy,
right?
Yeah.
I find it slips though. That's my only issue with it.
Yeah, the sweet spot is hard to maintain exactly. So I probably play things at a slightly slightly blur. And I don't most of the time I don't notice it unless I'm playing like GT and I look at the dials and I'm like, oh, I can't read them right now. Things like that.
Readjust it
all over. And then it's overpriced. I think it should be at least $350, and that should be the price of it. $550 is certainly what's it, $500 $550? That's like
the sales price. What it was on sale recently. That should be the price basically.
Yeah, I mean, was it like $300 or was it $350 on the sale?
I think it was $350.
Yeah,
it might have been $300 without Horizon, but I think it was $350.
Like I think for me, I've always looked at it as like whatever the sale price was, £50 on top of that, as like a £400 out of the door. I feel like is a good price for what it is. I think because I think they did it as $350 as the main price. They ever always do a sale, they're dropping it to like $300, $250, and they might as well just give them to people. Which I think at some point they might as well do that anyway, because it would help them push this headset so much more than what they're trying to do themselves. Which is my main issue with the PSVR2, the lack of marketing for this headset. It's like they did the same thing with the PSVR 1. They put it out there and it was like, let's let all the other people talk about it. Let's let anyone that cares about this thing talk about it, and they will sell it for us. And that has been the case. You know, sometimes like we get a comment and it's like, I just bought a PSVR 2 because you said it was great, and it's like, brilliant. Yeah. Hopefully Sony will announce something that you think is going to be great next that you can get for this device. And it's like even when new games come out, like Arcane Age just came out, and we saw a post on their thing. And I was like, finally, like they do. And I know there's kind of like a thing that certain companies have to do to get their videos posted. I think there's a certain thing, I don't know, background things that we don't really pay attention to, but it happens. And I don't know. I just wish there was just more of like this
a push from them.
Yeah, just do a post about Resident Evil 4. I'm like, oh, you like this? It's better in VR, or it could be experienced in VR, something like that. And then Laurie expressed this quite a lot. There's ways that they could do it to make it kind of sound like it's not. They're not trying to force it on you. Like, well, if you enjoyed it like this, well, maybe you should experience it through your own eyes, kind of thing. And then there's ways they could do this, but they never do. And each time something's happened, like I think the closure of London studio, again, that was another huge hit for me. I was like, well, I've been hyped for Blood and Truth too. I was hoping that was going to be a thing. It's not. Now it's not. And it's just more things that keep happening that keep making me just kind of go, But again, you had the PSVR 1. You know what it was like, the PSVR 1. After we got the first party titles, it did turn out to just be indie stuff, which wasn't bad. There was a lot of good stuff. But at the same point, it's like, I want something that Sony's going to go, hey, enjoy The Last of Us in VR, and then I'll be happy. That's all I want.
I think
one thing. Just
I think
one thing.
Sony kind of missed with their live service, strategy, and had.
Don't you dare talk bad about Concord.
Had one of those live service, investments been turned to a VR game, it would have been better than a nothing.
Maybe they just don't get a good return on these VR games at the same time. But like Reece just said, Last of Us, right? The Last of Us, like the TV shows come out. Why not do try and promote? Oh, watch it in your VR headset for like an ultimate. Like,
but you can't though. They won't do they haven't got the 3D movies or anything in VR.
No, I know, but that's something that they could have gone for. Right? Yes, it seems like it's such a tap in, and that everything was there, but. Maybe I saw Shuei Yoshida, who just retired from Sony, and I saw him talk about it and basically said that it was on the Kind of Funny Gamescast, I think. And they said the PSVR 1 was basically like the PlayStation 1 and such. And he said that in the past. And he was hoping that the PlayStation VR 2 were going to be like the PS2. And he just apologized, basically. And he kind of just didn't want to talk about it.
The Vita.
Yeah, he just kind of didn't want to. Even the Vita, I think, was more successful than I love the Vita, but
I've still got my Vita. I love that thing. Love it.
Thing's amazing. It just like we said at the start of the show, when it comes to gaming, if it doesn't hit the ball running in the start, then it's always very tough. There might be one big gripe about the PlayStation VR 2 was the grip button. I really don't like the grip button. I feel like the grip button. is so well done on the Quest, where you actually have to press it in, and it feels like you're actually gripping it. Where that one's like on the PlayStation VR 2, it's just a button. And so then I had to replace my, like, when I'm in Star Wars, for example, I had to just change it to toggle rather than holding the grip button, because I always found it very uncomfortable.
Is toggle your usual go-to, or is it hold grip for you? Like
hold. I normally like to,
It depends on the system,
Yeah, like with the PSVR 2, I think when it's done right and they add like hybrid grip and things like that, so you just rest your finger on it, even though I always drop stuff whenever I use a capacitive or hybrid grip, whatever the developer wants to call it. I always drop stuff, and that never really works out too well for me. But I think, again, for me, it's because I was so used to the PSVR 2 controller by the time I got the Quest 3. But when we start jumping and talking about Quest 3 stuff, I can talk about the positives there a little bit. But that Shuei Yoshida interview, could we just all agree that everybody blew that way out of proportion?
Yeah.
Everyone did. Like, everyone's like, this is what I think. No, there's nothing to think about. This is his faults. This is what he thought it was going to be. Like, it's just... And I don't think he's necessarily wrong. And I think it's, for him... Remember, like when he tried PSVR 1, that was magical for him. That's why it was like a refresh, a restart of gaming. And I've said that same thing, like when you play back when VR first came out. Before, you had some toxic communities, because sadly you do get that now with gaming. It always happens. But I think the first time I played Firewall Ultra Online, everybody was talking, not Firewall Ultra, Firewall 0 Hour. Everyone was talking really nice to each other, like we was all having a really good laugh. It was like, my mindset was like, this is only be what like the start of gaming was, like when people had their Sega Mega Drive and it was like, oh, this game's great, I've been playing this and type of stuff.
The first LAN parties or something.
Yeah,
like
exactly. It had that type of feeling to it, and I think that's what he was kind of expressing. This was just refreshing and new to him, and he wanted it to be the success of the PS2. And I mean, let's be honest, the PSVR 2 wasn't going to hit that because, and I do agree with you all, I think it's the price that pushed a lot of it back. If they released that at 350 or 400 on release, probably would have sold like 15% more than it did, or something like that.
Yeah. Or if they just gave it like a bigger push and timed it. There's lots of things that you could have
said. Or just give it away.
Or just give it away. It's also the economy, right? It
released at a bad time.
It released at a bad time, and it felt like it released a little bit too late for what the headset was. But then,
I mean, it missed the Christmas season by like 3 months. If it
got that would have probably been pretty good. Yeah.
Maybe. Anyway, that's enough PSVR 2 and such, right? And let's wrap up part 1 because it's been a big part. Let's go into part 2 where we're going to be talking about the state of VR and also a bit of Quest stuff as well and what we've been playing. So we'll see you in part 2.
Hey, we know public lobbies in VR games can be a bit toxic, feel a bit empty at times. That's why we created the Let's Talk Oculus Discord, a friendly community that you can join for multiplayer meetups, general VR chat, the game, and chat about VR, fitness motivation, and there's even a very impressive 3D printing channel. Join over 100 of our community members in the Let's Talk Oculus Discord for free. The link is right in the description.
All right, welcome back to part 2 of LTO 171, where we're joined by Reece from CrossButtonVR podcast and Games.with the YouTube channel. Let's not forget that one as well. We spoke about a lot of PSVR 2 at the end of that part, obviously. Let's talk a bit about the Quest itself. Reece, actually more, I'm really interested. You said your partner had obviously got the Quest after playing Max Mustard. What do you play much together in terms of VR with the Quest itself?
So we have done. I think the last time we played together was we played a little bit of Alvo, a little bit of Breachers.
Nice.
And
is Breachers not? It doesn't fill that void.
I don't think anything's ever going to fill the void of Firewall 0 Hour for us. Like it's
Breachers for me as well.
Yeah, Breachers for me, it's like it hits that mark and it's better. But I think such an impact with Firewall 0 Hour. I think it's just But yeah, we played a little bit of Breachers together. The last thing we played, like we had some family come around and we played Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes. This is like our first time playing a VR game with like a group of people around us, and what an experience that is! It's like a party of people.
Yeah,
that was awesome. Really, really good. But yeah, she jumps into it every now and then. She's very big into her PC gaming at the moment, so not as much as we would like to. But I'm glad she's got it because she still jumps into it. I'm like, oh, do you want to play a little bit of Breaches or do you want to play a little bit of Alvo? And she'll jump in. So that's good. We still get a little bit of VR time in.
And you have a Quest 3, right?
Yes.
Yeah. How are you liking that platform?
I absolutely love the Quest 3. Like, I've got some issues with it, but it's more positives than it is issues. I think the first time
go ahead.
No, go on. You go.
Have you two done any same room MR or like same room VR games?
I really want to. I want to try. What's the
Demio is what I would
Demio,
do.
What's the other one where you got the laser tag around your house?
Oh yeah, Spatial Ops.
That just sounds amazing to me. Like one of the best things. Like just. Like I feel like I'd end up running into a wall. Like
you will need, you need some space, but yeah.
Because we've got like our house kind of like goes into like a narrow part in the living room, so it'd make a really good thing just for you to camp there and hang around the corner. But at the same point, it's like if you was to run away from it, you'd probably hit the wall, kind of thing. But I'd love to try that, but nah. So yeah, I got the Quest not on release. They announced it, and I was like, I'll wait till Black Friday because I've been burned before that by Black Friday stuff. So I waited. I think it's like 2 days after Black Friday, I picked it up and got it home. Can we just say the unboxing experience of the Quest 3 was like straight out of the box? It was lovely. I was like, this is nice. Like,
great,
I'm doing these little tabs. This feels premium from the get go.
The Quest 3S, by the way, mind you, even better. It just like as soon as you take it out the box, it just like everything just opens like a beautiful Christmas like it was something straight out of like
just for that.
Just to open it, everything just opens up nicely, and there's your headset, there's your controllers. Take it out, good to go. It was beautiful, even better. They knocked it out of the park. The packaging team know what's up.
Yeah, like and I know a lot of people say, "Oh, you're just going to bin the box anyway." That's probably true. I haven't binned the box; it's actually in the loft. But I get the concept of you're just going to bin the box. But having that first impressions of like every fault has counted when developing this product. So yeah, obviously at this point, Alex had already had his for about a month because he got his on release and he was loving it. He was like, "Oh, the Quest is great." He was telling us all these really good things he's been doing on it, and even to this day, he's still, he's using it for like a fitness stuff at the moment. He'll put different things on it, like his tracking for his heartbeat monitor and all that kind of stuff, which I think is really cool. But for me, I bought Quest mainly for my shooting games, because there isn't a lot of them on PSVR 2, and I wanted a lot of them. And again, I finally got to try Zero Caliber after all those years of watching YouTube videos of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I played it and I wasn't disappointed, but I was like, this is very dated now. Like, as you would expect of waiting like nearly, 5 years, 6 years nearly to play this game. I was like, this is really dated, but wow, it still feels like a really good shooter and better than some that I've played on PSVR 2. So, yeah, there was a lot of stuff that I just loved out of the box. The controllers took a while to get used to because they are really small. And funny enough, when I bought my Quest, that's how I found your videos, Dan, because I was looking at different products like grips and head straps and interfaces because I just didn't know what to buy. And I was like, well, I don't want to buy multiple stuff to try it all out. And again, at that point, I hadn't been doing videos on Quest or anything, so nobody knew that here you go, take this and tell us what's good about this product type of thing. So I bought like a random Elite strap, which worked. It's not on there anymore because it wasn't as comfortable as the new one that I got. And I was looking at like different straps. I think I ended up settling on like the AMVR ones at that point. I picked them up and I was like, I'm pretty sure it was your video. You was telling me about like the different straps, like the Meta ones versus these ones, and these ones have this. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And yeah, very well done video. So yeah, credit where credit is due there, dude. They were always very well done. Always really enjoyed watching those.
I wish I had more time to
I wish you do as well. They were really good. And I think they're the type of videos that are going to help every new Quest owner as well. And you've done a service there, because I was like looking around at all these different things. It's like people going on about two different things and you like comparing these other things. That really helped me. So thank you for that. But I picked up some active grips, and yeah, once I got those, I love the controllers more. Like even to the point now, I prefer the Quest controllers over the PSVR 2 controllers and any other controller I've used. I mean, I tried Quest 2 after a bit, and even Pico. Still, the Quest controllers are just top tier.
You can use Pico, huh?
Yeah, US can't use Pico. We didn't have it here. Because it's made by ByteDance, right?
Oh, you're not allowed it. So yeah, I tried Pico at an event, and I was like, these are pretty cool. So, but no, the Quest controllers, I think, just as a standard, are really good. But
They
they
feel
are
good.
really tiny controllers. Like
They
no,
are
you've got
tiny,
little hands,
yeah.
but like I haven't got the biggest of hands. But like literally, I picked up these Quest controllers. I was like, I feel like they're going to fall out of my hands at all time.
Yeah.
They're so small. And that was probably my only like negative. But as soon as I got active straps, I was like, okay, this is awesome.
The straps make a massive difference, right?
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
when I
100%.
what was it? I think I did the video on AMVR, and the one who sent me the straps. So I never really bought them before because something that I just don't use. I'm normally quite just use it out the box, apart from obviously the strapped. But
Yeah.
as soon as I put them on, I was like, wow, this is so much better.
You don't go back. You can't go back, can you?
You can't. No, you can't.
But, I end up getting the Kiwi ones on there, which are like I've been finding really nice.
Kiwi ones
as well.
are nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the little protection. Sometimes I have the clothes dried in here, and the amount of times I've hit my controller on that, it probably would have chips all over it. So I'm appreciative of Kiwi for their little silicon ring design that they've done there. That's nice. But there's a lot of great accessories, and I think this goes back to what you said, Samson. Like as an experience with Quest, like having all that different stuff to try out and make it catered to you, as opposed to like, this is stock. You've got to deal with stock, and if you don't like it, then it's not one of them experience. Yeah, exactly. It was nice, but yeah, my first experience with Quest, I spent more money than I needed to buying loads of games.
Welcome.
Yeah, it was crazy. I bought I think the first one I bought was Zero Caliber, and I didn't play that straight away. I jumped into, I don't remember what the first game was I jumped into on Quest, but yeah, I think for me, and I have said this on CrossButtonVR, if anyone has ever watched that, I mean, it's not going to be a surprise to them, but I prefer Quest as a headset, as a device. It's better. But for gaming, and if I've got the game on Quest or PSVR 2, I will play it on PSVR 2 over Quest.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's the Quest is like it's just a solid all round option. If you're ever going to recommend a VR headset, that's the one to recommend, obviously, right?
100%.
But if you did have the option to play on PCVR, if you did have the option to play on PlayStation VR, and especially depends on the game as well, right? Like if Batman, for example, was on both, Behemoth is on both, for example. You would go for PlayStation VR, obviously, because that game, Metro's another one and such, as that they're the big games, and you want to play it on the best that you have. But if you don't have it, the Quest is pretty solid. But I mean, obviously we just mentioned quickly there Batman and Behemoth and such, but Reece, what are some of your like favorite games on the platform, or some of the ones?
Recently it's got to be Batman. Like that is
so good, right?
I completed that over Christmas, and I messaged my brother who got a Quest like about a month before that, and I went to him, hold off playing Batman so you've played some other stuff, because genuinely that game is going to ruin anything else you try and play. And he was like, I don't think it doesn't ruin it or anything. I went, no, it's more so of just how this game looks, how this game plays. It's so immersive. Like genuinely, I've not had that level of immersion into a game before, where like at all times, like I was like getting behind doing the voices, like where is she, all that kind of stuff, just I was just lost. And I'm a huge fan of the Arkham games. Like absolutely love the Arkham games. So crawling through vents, pushing off the vent, and just walking through it, and I was like,
detective mode, everything like that.
Oh, it was just like, it was so well done. So like this just stole me. Like, and I didn't want to finish it. That's why I stopped playing it and then going back to it. And I was like, over Christmas, okay, I've got to finish this. I keep pushing it off. I'm going to see a spoiler somewhere. I need to finish this. And yeah, it gave me the level of VR, like premium VR, like Half-Life Alyx did. And that's not comparing the two, because they're two different style games, and a lot of people usually mention them to like, oh, you can't compare them.
It just wowed you. Yeah.
It was exactly, it's that wow moment. And this is the thing what I've said to people with PSVR 2. It's not had that wow moment for me, like their own flagship title. I don't think Horizon's a system seller. I don't think you should buy a PSVR 2 for Horizon. Yes, it has some great set pieces, but it's not a game that's made me go, oh my God, this is crazy. Batman had that Batman. Just buy a Quest for Batman.
Those things don't come around quick, often or anything like that, because I think the Quest didn't really have that for so long either. And I think the Half-Life Alyx is like the gold standard for PCVR. Like if there's any game, that's the one. Batman is now what the Quest is the gold
Yeah.
standard. Like if there's only one game you can buy, that is the game, because that is the best showcase of VR, and it's so immersive, and and we've talked about it at length of this podcast, but it is.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, I feel like every time I talk about it, I'm like the combat,
finger details of that game as
combat.
well. Like, no, screw the combat. It's all about the things that you just go to wall and just press on the wall. You're like, oh, that would hurt in real life, but in VR it does not. But no, the combat, I think it's just such a perfect game, and I would love to see it on other platforms, but I wouldn't hold my breath either. Like I think they're going
to hold on to it. They don't need.
They've got to. No, they don't need to give that out just yet. No,
they own that studio now, so it's up to them, right?
But I mean, there's other great games I've played on the Quest that I love. Like, I mean, one game I jump into quite a lot is Tactical Assault VR. Like, I still play that a lot. It's not the best looking VR game because it's the style of graphics it went for, but on the level of realism and how it plays with friends, fantastic. Yeah. And obviously, Breaches, I don't play that on Quest. I play it on the PSVR 2, but I'm appreciative that it is on Quest because otherwise I would have no one to play it with.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
There's a lot of great stuff on Quest. A lot.
And then our podcast episode last week, me and Samson went through issues with the Quest because we had like
software in particular.
Not hardware. Like hardware, we all know, but it's not. The hardware is actually pretty solid. Like there's some tweaks, but that's more of like, okay, Quest 4 is going to have these extra tweaks and such. There's not really a hardware issue. It's just like stuff that could be improved. The software, however, there's a lot of actual issues that need to be, and we touched on quite a bit that we thought, but I just wanted to real quick, Reece, was there any frustrations for you that you wanted to talk about? Yeah.
So within the first week of having the Quest, I thought it broke. And I was recording some gameplay. I was recording some gameplay just to kind of show my mates, and I stopped the recording, and all of a sudden I got this loud buzzing down my ear. Like it was horrible to hear. I just genuinely thought the speakers had blown or something on it, and then it stopped, and then the Quest went black, and I was like, okay, well that's dead. And I turned it back on, and I was like, that's really, really odd. And it all works fine. Nothing. I've never had this issue since. I looked online, somebody else said, they've had the issue and they did the exact same thing that I did. So my mindset was, okay, it's software related. It's nothing to do with the hardware itself. The only hardware issue I've actually had with the Quest 3 was my left controller broke. But I will say Quest's like customer service at fixing that and getting a new one out. I had a new controller within the space of 4 days. Refurbished, but looked new. And couldn't fault them at all. They were absolutely fantastic. They gave me another 2 months warranty on the controller over there any other issues, and it was just an all-round perfect situation. But software, yes. All right. At the moment, ever since the update, whenever I go into my screen on certain games, it will say to me, by playing this game, your game is, if you quit this game, it's going to corrupt or something like that. Press yes or no. And this only happens every now and then. I turn my Quest off. But every time I finish play, I turn my Quest off. I should probably just leave it in standby, but I had more issues when I was leaving it in standby.
Yeah, I get a lot of issues that way, actually.
Yeah, so it says this thing, press yes or no, Quest is going into, the game will corrupt. It doesn't corrupt. The game doesn't corrupt. If you press yes, it doesn't quit the game. If you press no, it doesn't quit the game. It just lets you play the game like normal. And that happens sometimes. And I'm like, that's really weird. So I Googled that. I seem to be a rare breed with that one because...
Yeah, I've not heard of that one.
Yeah, it was really odd.
Sometimes if I hit quit, like I'll pull up the menu, hit quit, it'll just stay in the game.
It's been doing that for me recently, and it's
I'll
really
have to
annoying.
Hit quit again, and then it'll quit. But that has been happening. Yeah.
So that thing pops up when you first load the game, and it does it for every game whenever this happens. And usually fixing it is just to turn the headset off and turn it back on. Again, this is clearly a software issue because it was never there when I got it a year ago. It's only ever happened since one of the recent updates. The other issue I've had, like you said, with the quit, that's one. I don't know if anyone else gets this. So, like, you're playing your game, but you press the Quest button, it brings up your UI, and you see your game, friends list there, your other library, and all that kind of stuff, or whatever tabs you got. Does it ever just appear, like, absolutely huge in front of your face?
No. I've not seen this, no.
And I think this is a me issue, but it's the same point, like, with most things. If you like, like sometimes when you're playing certain games, like, if you move, it might kind of recalibrate itself.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. maybe you're moving
I don't think the
forward.
Quest has recalibrated itself for me. So sometimes I pick my Quest up off the thing when it's on, and then I move back to my play space, and by the time I do that, it just has this huge screen in front of my eyes. I'm like, oh god, resetting and fixes it, but it makes me laugh every time. I've not had any major issues that make me go, oh, it's more of just like cry. Let's just carry on its quest. Let's do it. And it's always like very quick to just get past. But I've had some weird things with the quest stuff.
It seems like weird quirks that you keep having here.
Yeah, I mean, recording, if you called from the quest, games, issues, and things like that. But again, you're putting a strain on the thing. That's on you. That's not on the quest. But yeah, there's some weird little quirks every now and then that it has. But again, I don't know. Like even with all that, I'd still recommend this device to people.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's still the best that we have.
It's few and far between, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's so few and far between. But yeah, they're the only really weird software things that I've had. But other than the one that I said with the audio where I thought it was going to break, that was scary because this was like a week out of the box. I was like, I don't know whether to take it back. Like, is this broke or like
or if it's going to come out again or something.
Yeah, and I was like constantly listening to it, and I was like, obviously because recording content a lot to do videos and things like that, I was constantly worried that this was going to keep happening. And then somebody went, it's apparently they're aware of it. They're going to be fixing it in the next update. And lo and behold, it never happened again. So they were completely aware of it.
That's good.
And yeah, I'm probably going to say this. I'm going to turn the quest on in a minute and it's going to happen. But I think for the most part, the UI is pretty good. I think the UI is, but I think it's every time they do an update, something weird happens and you're like...
Yeah, and some bugs and such.
Yeah,
that's fair enough.
That's coding and that's just software for you in general with anything, isn't it? You know, you fix one thing, you break two things.
Yeah, that makes sense. Samson, did you say before we recorded here that you ran into a lot more?
Yeah, but it was in what we've been playing, so I figured I'd wait till we got
we can talk about that. Okay, so before we get into what we've been playing, I just wanted to ask a couple more questions here in terms of like the state of VR and in terms of kind of more of like what you're looking forward to. Maybe Reece, I know you've just spoken for quite a bit, so right. maybe I'll start with Samson here.
You've been asking me questions.
I've been asking you questions all the time. Samson, can you just tell us maybe one thing that excites you about the year ahead in VR? And it doesn't matter what platform or anything like that. But
if I have to pick one thing in VR that'll excite me that I know it's guaranteed to happen this year, it's everything in Walkabout.
Yeah, that's fair enough. All the DLCs,
every course, every ball, every club, every hidden room.
Yeah.
I look forward to it all. That's 100%. That's
something you can guarantee.
Highlight, going to be, every 6 weeks is happiness. Boom, dopamine.
I love it. I would say for me, I'm actually very excited to finally see the Steam Deckard potentially at the end of the year. Potentially, reason being is that it's not even because of that headset. I don't even know if I'll get it and such. You know, the same issues of like having too many choices. Yeah, probably will. It's just competition. I don't think Quest has any competition. The PSVR 2, even if it was like as good as it should have been, it still isn't the direct competition. This being potentially a actual standalone headset for proper gaming and such, this could be potentially closer as a competition with the Quest. And I think it's going to be... competition is always really good, and it'll be good to shake things up, and especially the what we're seeing with the leaks, the actual controllers being like, you know, put them together in the actual like a normal PlayStation 5 controller and such, of what that can do for potential playing 2D games in the headset on a big screen as well as VR games. And obviously there's no way they release this without releasing another Half-Life-esque type of game on there, whether or not it will be, you know, like up to that kind of standard, but they'll release something. I don't know if they'll release Half-Life or they'll release like something in their like ecosystem, you know, like something like a Team Fortress-esque or potentially a Portal-esque, or like, not saying a full game, but just something in that kind of vein just to get people in the door. I could see them doing that. But yeah, I'm just excited to see what else is out there. I think you see a lot of competitors with Apple Vision Pro and now the Samsung One or the stuff like that. That's all great, but that's like a different area of VR that we don't really touch on too much in this show. So I'm more intrigued about the gaming, and I think the Steam Deck is going to be just very fun and interesting to see what will happen with that. But Reece, do you have any thing that you're like excited about for this year?
Few bits. I'll keep it brief. For me, I'm just looking forward to a couple of games. The Midnight Walk being one of them. I'm not too sure. I don't think that's coming to Quest, is it? I think it's PC and sorry all. But I really enjoyed their previous game they did. But yeah, really looking forward to that.
What is that?
The Midnight Walk. Have you not heard of it?
You would have seen it, Samson. It came out on the on one of the shows. I think it was on the GamesVR showcase or something. It was a State of Play, and they had it was like a cool Tim Burton-esque kind of art style, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's made by the people that made, most of the team that made Ghost Giant. I don't know if any of you ever played that.
Yep.
Okay, yep, it's made by a lot of the team that made that, and I absolutely love that experience. That was one of the first VR experiences that made me kind of go a bit welled up a little bit in the headset. But it was really well done. The story was nice. Looking forward to that. Wanderer, some of the other little games here and there are coming out, but I'm not going to list them all. But yeah, there's a few games coming out that's got me excited. Yeah. But I don't think anything that's really kind of made me, other than what you just mentioned, Deckard, I'm excited to hear more about that. But nothing's really made me go, this is going to be the best year for VR. But yeah, just going to kind of roll with it and see what's happening. It's still January.
Yeah. Fair enough. Okay, I'm just conscious of time before this podcast gets way too big. So let's get straight into what we've been currently playing. I'm going to start off really quickly because mine's just more of a smaller one. I've played a little bit of Galaxy Kart. I've not had too much to play since we only recorded 4 days ago. Galaxy Kart, it's a game that Samson's talked quite a lot on the podcast. Obviously, your classic kart racer. Giving you quick pros and cons, and maybe next episode I might play a bit more and give you more of this. Really cool course designs. Mario Kart is obviously always going to be the comparison when it comes to a kart racer. But I think they nailed it with their course designs. I've not played every single one of them, but in the first couple of tournaments that I've played, so I think that's 8 courses. All of them are just really fun. They're very much like a Crash team racing kind of course design.
They feel really good, and a lot of them have little shortcuts or little side jump.
I've not found out any of those, but that's very Crash team racing's kind of feel. But yeah, really good course designs, great characters as well. Obviously, because you're the character, if I play as the pirate, I can't remember what the name is, but then all of a sudden you get a hook on one of your hands and such, and it really threw me off. I was like, how am I going to throw weapons with this and such? But it was cool that they obviously did that. Same with the kart design, everything when it comes to the designs, characters, karts, courses, they've nailed it. And I love that there's a lot of tournament options. I think there's 8 tournaments in there. There's obviously multiplayer that I haven't played yet, but obviously Samson's talked at length in there. But yeah, just a really fun game, and you can play it using the wheel, and then you can get your items and throw the items. Samson, correct me if I'm wrong, can you go into the settings and change that to just using your thumbsticks to drive the car?
you can play with the thumbsticks.
Right, yeah, I was thinking that. I never did though. I stayed with the actual cart, which is it takes a while to get used to start driving one-handed and grabbing an item and using the item and such. The amount of times I hit the wall and whatnot. The cons of what I'll say is that things that I didn't like it. There's only one major thing, but one small thing is that there is a lot of pop-in when it comes to the environments, as you're driving. On the Quest 3 at least, the background pop-ins doesn't mind as much because obviously I'm driving, I'm looking right in front of me, but there's a lot of pop-in just in front of you as well. And I think maybe with the Quest, if they could maybe dumb down the amount of elements that are in the background, then maybe they could help that. I'm not too sure. Obviously, I'm not a VR developer or anything like that. But lots of pop-in where the ones that close to you was definitely more of the issue. But it's not really a big deal. You can kind of get behind that, get by that. But my biggest issue with Galaxy Kart, and obviously this might not be a big issue in multiplayer, but definitely in single player, I feel like when you're actually racing, it feels kind of dead. a little bit, like the feel when you're in there. Like I didn't know what it was, because like when I'm playing Mario Kart, it feels like the whole world's kind of alive. And what I did is I tried. Well, first I thought the music was a bit too quiet in the background and the sound effects were too high, so I changed the levels and such. But it still felt very like dead to me. And then when I look at something like Mario Kart, I'm like, hold on. When someone passes you, they say something at you. Yeah, something like that, right? They do something like that. And there's like some crowd chatter in some of the in the backgrounds as well, in some of the courses and such. And I think that's really needed. Samson, obviously the podcast that we did about like walkabout courses, and we looked at Venice and how great Venice was last year because of it had background chatter, even though the world was kind of felt dead because you don't see anyone. Because they had background chatter audio in the background, it felt like you were in this lively environment. And I think if they added something like that, or add like some level of like, even though you can see the characters, but they are a bit more live, quote unquote, it will feel much better. Now, obviously, you might not have that issue in multiplayer because you might be talking to people and such, but in single player, that's the only one thing. It just felt like a bit of a dead world, even though everything around you was really cool. It just needed some more like, oh, I'm not the only person in here just racing and such. So yeah, that's my like 2 cents with Galaxy Kart. I don't think I've played enough of it to really go more in depth to it, but
no, that's a good point. I feel like that is something that I definitely relate to, that I didn't put words to, because a lot of the time I was playing multiplayer where it's like, Noble Squashy was doing the wah!
Exactly. That's what he does. You're playing.
That's a direct quote. That's exactly what he sounds like every time he passes you. Noble Squashy.
That's hilarious.
And you voice acted it, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, you nailed it there, Samson. Samson, tell me about what you've been playing, Samson.
All right, Dan. I feel like last week I jinxed myself talking about Quest issues, because this past week I was watching a live open mic stream, and he was trying to play Cookout, and they were having mic issues where they had to just use Discord to be able to hear each other. I went to play Breachers last night, Friday night. Their servers went down, and boy, their Discord went off. Their mods had to be on their game. There were people getting banned. There were just people trolling. Don't do that, people. Don't do that. It's unkind. It's 2 a.m. in Belgium. They're doing their best. Mm-hmm. All right. But yeah, the Breachers servers were down for quite some time on a Friday night. Not ideal. Not ideal.
Yeah. I was planning to start late for that one as well, weren't I?
Yeah, right. Well, so that leads me. We normally play Breachers Friday night, so we pivoted to Contractors and the OG Contractors, and I really wanted to get into these Battlefront mods. And boy, oh boy, did the nostalgia taste delicious. Because I was droids. You don't have to worry about reloading. They overheat and then they cool down. I got to be Dooku. I had a lightsaber. I was slaughtering people. I was jumping all high. I don't even know how to do most of the things. And we had big lobbies. There was probably over 20 people in this lobby, or about 20 people or so. At least. And we were doing like a control point from Breachers, I guess. Domination. I don't know what they call this, but there's like A, B, C, D, E, F, and you try to control these points. Time.
Classic Battlefront mode as well, to be honest.
Yeah, great time. I want to get more into that.
Sounds good.
For sure.
That mod.
Yeah, that's the type of nostalgia I feel, because I know before the pod we were talking, Reece was into the Call of Duty maps. I didn't play much Call of Duty, so I'm more into like the Halo and Battlefront. Those is where I feel the nostalgia. But holy crap, Contractors OG just has so much content, and I'm playing on PC, and it looks good. Like, this game looks and feels great. So if I honestly, I don't know how they get away with it.
And you can get mods
it's
in
fantastic.
the Quest version as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
It looks good as well in there.
So the way the mods work, you're in these lobbies, and whoever picks the whatever map you're going to do next, all the mods just automatically start downloading. And so I guess if you want to be careful, like you can go through, you can be judicious and delete the ones you don't need anymore. I think they probably auto delete after a certain amount or something.
I think it's like first one on, last one off kind of situation.
Yeah,
like, it pushes it off. I did try to delete some of them because I went a bit mad and downloaded a lot of Call of Duty ones, and I was like, I need to delete some of these because now this game is like an extra 5 gigabytes. Yeah. But yeah, no. If anybody used to play Call of Duty Zombies, you can get some of the OG COD Zombies maps on it, and I tell you what, the first time I loaded that up, I was like, absolutely amazing. So
I found
good.
the box.
Yeah, it's exactly. And you can get the songs going as well, the Easter eggs. Oh, mate, just yeah.
This is what we live for as gamers. It's nostalgia driven. It's nostalgia driven.
It is that. We're looking for something that we loved as a kid. That's basically is. It's always that.
That's all we want. Yeah, that's all we want.
But let me just get in. Let me get one in. One more issue I had come up, and then I'll go. I'll
nothing but issues.
I'll throw it to Games with Tea. Well, the Contractors was a great positive from the issue of Breacher's server going down. So you turn your negative. You make lemonade out of those lemons. Okay. So I got into toy trains, and this time I'm playing on my Quest 3 because I was like, you know what? I want to try this in mixed reality. And sure enough, it works pretty good until on the second level, the game just crashed and I couldn't do anything in the game. I had to quit it, and that was enough where I shut it off. I was like, all right, I'll pivot to something else for now. So there you have it. I saw mic issues with Mike. Breacher servers went down. And toy trains crashed all this week. So I experienced all 3 of them. And you know what? Just pivot to something else, something else will eventually work. Yeah, exactly. Just go play some.
When all else fails, Contractors is there for you on the Quest. Just remember that. That's what Samson is trying to say here.
Yeah, with unlimited mods. Reece, what have you been getting into?
I've been playing quite a recent release on Quest. Grim came out. Recently, which is a bit like Rust. And if people don't know what Rust is like, maybe you've heard of Strayed, but if you've not heard that, then it's a PvP.
Then Google it at this point.
It's a PvP survival game. You're on the server, people raid you, attack you, try and become friends with you, and then betray you, that kind of stuff. It's whatever you make it. And I've been playing this with my buddy Sam.
Okay, so I was going to say, do you play solo?
I
should just talk.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, well, no, don't, because clearly I'm not going to be invited back after this. It's too short. But I was I jumped on Grim. Been playing that on and off. Had the first wipe on Thursday, and we lost all our stuff. So now we've just got to try and build our base again, all that kind of stuff. But I've not been hooked to this style of game since Rust. Go on, Samson.
Do you play just one? Like, you make sure you play the same server, and so all your stuff is okay.
Yeah. Unless I'm trying to record a video on it, because I recorded the video and went into a server and not trolled, that'd be the wrong word for it. I was going around asking people different questions and in VR.
You were playing differently.
Yeah, exactly. I was trying to be a nice person. And instead they basically dragged me on a raid. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm doing this now. But no, it's a good game. It's got a lot of issues. It's Combat Waffle, people that made Ghost of War along with another developer. I'm not too sure who that developer is, but there's another person working on it as well. So it has jank and it has a lot of stuff that doesn't make it feel quite like VR. A lot of clicking buttons, dragging stuff, and it does ruin some of the stuff for it. But at the same point, this is one of them games where it's like memories will make it as good as you want it to be. Like the moments you make in this game is everything.
People you're with is going to make
we was looking, there was a base off in the distance, and we saw somebody turn their light on, and we was like, get down, there's somebody over there, and that kind of stuff. And that was awesome. That was really cool. But no, I'd say let it cook a little bit more before jumping in, unless it's something that you're definitely going to love. Because I think a lot of
it's in early access,
I think the main issue, and I've seen this a lot of people streaming it doesn't have an onboard tutorial process. So you literally just go in and people are like, fresh spawn, you got some good stuff in your call, you're dead. And it's that. You don't know what you're doing, where to go, how to build your base. You have to figure all this out yourself. Yeah. So I think until it has the onboarding process, I think a lot of people are going to be buying it and refunding it because it's quite grueling. But I'm enjoying it. I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, it seems like a game for more seasoned VR players, at least, as well.
Yeah.
Because of that, right? Yeah, fair
Definitely.
enough.
It takes commitment, let's put it that way. And it'll also, make you anxious to go to sleep because you worry your base is now being raided and somebody stole all your stuff and you're going to come back on.
So this is always live.
Always live, yeah. And if you fall asleep like outside and your game crashes and somebody runs past, like, oh, there's a person sleeping on the floor, they can just rob you, take all your stuff, and yeah, exactly. Like it's
full on life simulator.
Yeah, it's yeah, pretty much. Basically, you go in there and you want to avoid people at all costs. So yeah, it is a life simulator. But yeah, that's all I've been playing. Really, I've spent a lot of time on that.
Fair enough. All right, that'll do for part 2. Part 3 we'll just
whoa. Oh, I got a couple more.
Okay. Whoa.
Well, I thought you was done.
I thought you were done.
No.
I thought you was cutting those out.
It's bouncing back. No, I'm bouncing back.
Reece, this happens often.
Yeah. Because Dan,
I thought I was the problem.
I got Among Us rodeo mode for the second time right before it ended. It's over now. Sorry. If you wanted to do it, you lost your chance. But the rodeo mode, what it did was every time there was a meeting, which means every time somebody pressed a button or every time somebody found a dead body, somebody was in charge. I forget what the word that they used for it, but this one person could decide who got kicked off, and they had to pick somebody because otherwise they would get kicked off. But also they had to rodeo these people, right? They had to get them in their rope. And so to do that, you had to be kind of close to them. So every single time, no matter what, I just kept as far away from this person as I could during the meetings. It was good times. It was good times in this rodeo mode, but I'm happy. I'm looking forward to whatever's next. I hope there's something Valentine's Day related, like Lovers mod, which was 2 people have to survive the whole round, and if they both survive, then they win. And one of them could be an imposter type of deal. Nice. But yeah, lots of stuff you could kind of do with that. Love my Among Us crew. It's a good time.
Shout out to Among Us. This inspired so much. I've been watching trailers on TV. I don't know if anyone of you watching that, but that's basically Among Us. It's basically Among Us. Every time I watch it. There's a game show called Traders.
British show, isn't it?
It's big in the UK. It's also US as well. It's massive. There's a US version as well, which is really good.
I heard there is going to be an Among Us show, though, I think.
It's basically Among Us already, to be honest.
Okay.
But yeah, everyone's going to dress up like that and everything and just run around?
I have no idea. I feel like I just read it. Yeah.
Fair enough.
And then I got into Ancient Dungeon, Dan, and this will wrap it up because I did an Ancient Dungeon run with Squashy, and I love these weekly or just as much as I can Ancient Dungeon runs. They're a good time, slowly unlocking everything or like getting all the achievements and all that. Ancient Dungeon, great time, little roguelike. You can play single player, 2-player, 3-player, even 4-player in Ancient Dungeon. But if you do play 3 or 4-player, it does start to spread out, like every time you get how much health goes around and all the power-ups. So it does kind of, you have to be a little bit more careful, so to say. But yeah, Ancient Dungeon.
It's a little hidden gem. It's a good little indie title that you can get on Quest for sure.
I've still not played it. It's on PSVR 2, I believe, as well. Yeah. But it doesn't have the multiplayer on there yet.
Yeah, I don't think
I feel like that's a big part of it.
Yeah, and I feel like I'd jump into it if it did. Because I'd find a group of people.
Perfect. All right, Samson, you done now?
I'm done, Dan. Let's take us to part 3.
All right, let's take it to part 3. Where we're going to go through the games out this week, so we'll see you then. Let's Talk Oculus is available on all good podcast platforms and some rubbish ones as well. If you want to see the video version, it's available on YouTube and Spotify. And also, if you love us so much, then consider throwing us $1 at patreon.com/letstalkoculus. Back to the show. All right, welcome back to part 3. Welcome back to Let's Talk Oculus 171. This is part 3. It'll be a very quick part 3 where we're going to go out through the games out this week. Reece, since you're the guest, do you want to start off? What is the first game out this week?
The first game coming out is Fitness Fables, and I'm going to read it like you've wrote it, unless you've got this from elsewhere.
No.
Step into a world where fitness becomes an adventure. Fitness Fable turns your workout into story-driven quests, combining fun challenges with beautiful, immersive environments. It's not just about staying active, it's about enjoying a fitness journey. Dive into a magical journey with 80 levels featuring 16 boss fights, 16 bonus challenges, and 48 varied traversal stages that keeps you active and engaged. Face 16 intense bosses, blending fitness and fantasy with moves like power bow and battle drums to restore the balance of Altera.
Nailed it.
Yeah. This is what I'm actually looking forward to playing, to be fair.
Yeah.
I think reading that sold it more for me, even though I've seen trailers and stuff. Like, I'm like,
it's cool. It's like the kayak kind of VR. It's got a bit of kayaking. It's got some. It's like it's not just
different workout movements.
Yeah, there's some drumming involved and such. Like there's all sorts, which is, it's we talked about at length last week, Samson, about the fitness game I played, which is now Shardfall is what I played, sorry, and how I was very lukewarm on it. This actually seems like it's way more dynamic and has way more interesting aspects to it. So I don't know if I'm in the mood to try another fitness game. I'm just after doing one last week.
Shardfall.
This one, Shardfall's okay. It's very good, beginner friendly, like kind of workout, but it's very like it needs more. But this one feels like it has all that stuff. It has much more in there. So I'd be interested in this one. Samson, what's the second game?
Dan's second game this week is Stage Time. Welcome to Stage Time, the ultimate virtual venue for live performances, creative expression, and social connection. Why you'll love Stage Time. Instant access. Jump into a vibrant virtual venue within seconds and start performing or watching live content. Perform and entertain. Share your favorite music, comedy, or creative content on stage for others to enjoy. You can connect and socialize, meet new people, or enjoy shared experiences with friends in a welcoming, lively environment. You can even customize your avatars, express yourself with personalized avatars and unique styles. Content creation, easily record your own videos in the app with our camera. It's an evolving platform. Regular updates to features and settings to keep the experience fresh and exciting. Come on down to Stage Time.
I think you sold that. I think everyone's going to buy that just because of your read out there. Like, if I ever want an advert done or just like anything, I'm going to get you to read it out. That was just...
Stage Time. I don't think I'm interested.
Samson does a great job when it comes to the readouts, to be honest. He shows
they're fun.
Me up every time.
They're fun time. I like the readouts.
I'm going to call you on Discord one night and I'm going to go just get snug as a bug in my bed and you're going to read me a book.
That's what happens when you spend almost 2 hours together and you get this comfortable. This will be really good if there's like specific events that you'll be into or something, like if
it does look kind of cool. Yeah.
It's less than a game. It's more to do with like, seeing like a little comedy show kind of thing, and such. So yeah,
I will say I saw Dimitri Martin's going on tour, comedian, and he keeps asking in his Instagram post, "Hey, where do you want me to come? Like, come to your city." And I keep naming my city and then saying VR. So yeah, I'm going to start saying, "Come to Stage Time."
Come to Stage Time. I don't know if that's going to work. Anyway, moving on. Third game on the list is called Pixel Arcade. Portal into Pixel Arcade, a VR platformer set in a neon cyberspace playground. Navigate and race through over 10 unique levels at launch, unlocking new chapters in the campaign while aiming to beat your all-time high score. It's not just a game. It's an adrenaline-packed, calorie-burning adventure that pushes the boundaries of VR locomotion mechanics, master levels to achieve global dominance in the leaderboard. Is this another fitness game?
Yeah, it's a very like, did you eat too much over Christmas? Here you go. You're going to need all these kind of month, it seems.
Yeah, I realized that. When I heard the name Pixel Arcade, I thought it would be more like retro kind of feel. But yeah,
it does have pixels.
It does have
it's
big tits.
It actually kind of looks like Skyclimb.
What?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, it does. It looks a lot like Skyclimb actually, with all the different blocks, and you're gonna have to. Interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know if I'll be into this one, to be honest.
Okay. Do we read the next one all together at the same time, or?
Well, I was just gonna do it, but if you'd like to do
Samson, out of the three of us, I think you won in reading.
Yeah.
So why don't you when you finish off here?
All right, Dan, let me take you beyond blue after the storm. After a severe tropical storm damages an underwater research station, Maria,
Right.
and her crew are asked to help repair and damage and lend aid to the creatures in the surrounding biosphere. What they uncover, there's more dangerous than they could have realized, and will take all their skills and help from an unexpected ally to make it right. Immerse yourself in the depths of our ocean, explore our world's beautiful ocean in a game based in reality and set in humanity's not too far off future. Swim through unique biomes, interacting with creatures that few have ever seen in person. Unlock ocean insights, mini documentaries that explore the real-world science that inspired the game. Dan, I'm most interested in the mini documentaries.
Yeah,
just that. That soldier.
Yeah. Can I get a DLC?
It actually looks really good, this game. Like, it's not probably for me, but like the fact that you go into the water, there's different like species, but they're all like based out of real life ones, and you kind of analyze them. There's like plants that you kind of keep alive, and then there's things that you need to like iron and such that are in there, all like debris, and you have to get rid of the debris and such for the wildlife to live. And you kind of end up starting to build your own like little kind of like a greenhouse or sanctuary kind of thing underwater for all of these kind of
your own little universe
species and such. Yeah, because it is more of like a simulation type of game. So this is a game that I probably won't really play, because I played this for 5 minutes and be like, I can't sink my time into this. But
yeah,
I can see it being very popular for some people, and with the documentaries as well. There's lots of mini documentaries that basically are related to what you're doing as well. So, and it's not expensive. I think it's like just shy of $20. Like
it's $15. It's got a pre-order bonus of $9.99 though, but that'll be over by the time this airs.
It will be, yeah. But so it's not that expensive for what it is. So it could be interesting for some people, especially if they're into aquatics, shall we say?
Nice.
Aquatics. Anyway,
into aquatics.
I've been
Samson. That's our show. Reece, thanks so much for joining us. Obviously, this is almost 2 hours. We've had a record with the.
You asked a lot of questions. Okay,
I did ask a lot of questions. Even cut out a bunch of stuff. I think it was more on me. If I'm like the main person driving the content, it's definitely on me that we went this long. But it is what it is. I hope you enjoyed it. We had a good time.
Yeah,
we had a good time. And for those who are listening and watching, like Reece, you want to plug where they can find you?
Yeah, certainly. So obviously, like you mentioned, I'm one third of CrossButtonVR. So if you do enjoy podcast style content, obviously you do, because that's why you're here. But I mean, we don't have Samson and we don't have Dan. So, but we do have a Scottish person called Alex, and we do have another lovely Londoner style, or close to London enough, which is Laurie. And yeah, we're mainly PSVR2 focused, but we do touch on a little bit of Quest and PCVR here and there. So that's CrossButtonVR. And yeah, we have a great time doing the show. I'm the more newer person there, but yeah, we love doing that. But if you want gameplays, reviews, or anything like that, then if you jump over to my own channel, which is GameswithTea, you can find all that kind of stuff there, which again covers Quest, PC, and PSVR2.
Beauty, perfect.
What's your favorite tea?
I just usually go for PG tips, mate. I'm not an expensive person.
Yorkshire tea.
Yorkshire tea.
Yorkshire tea.
Do we send you over some Yorkshire tea bags? Are you missing them?
I think I'm more in the north than you, so I've got lots of Yorkshire tea bags. Don't worry about that.
Goes in huge bags. They do.
Every time I go home, it's stocked up. You can even buy them here too, as well. Actually.
Oh, blimey! Okay, brilliant.
So we're absolutely fine. But yeah, Reece, it's been a pleasure. It's been great. To have
thank you so much for having me.
It's been a lot of fun. And yeah, all the links will be in the description below. Thanks everyone for listening. Thanks everyone for watching, especially if you made it this far. And we will see you next week for another episode. He's been Reece, Games with Tea. Samson's over there. Hello, Samson. Bye, Samson. And we'll see you next week.